Hey y'all, welcome to another video of Brianna's Bachelor Breakdown. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today we're going to go over the season premiere of the long-awaited, we haven't seen it in 2 years, Bachelor in Paradise. So they really hyped everything up, but to be honest, there was not a lot of content last night. It was a lot of introductions just to kind of lay the groundwork, let us know who we're going to be working with these first few weeks of Paradise, which was fine, honestly. The people that I am most excited about seeing are Serena P, number one. I feel like she was a little underrated on that season. You know, everyone had love for Michelle and Brie, obviously, but I feel like Serena didn't really get as much hype on like social media. I didn't hear people talking about her as much, but I really love Serena P. I'm super excited. She seems to really have the guys, you know, coming after her this season, so I'm excited to see who she ultimately will end up with and who she will click with. I'm also super excited to see Brendan. He's a very sweet guy, very wholesome, obviously very attractive. I love a full beard. He has really nice eyes. As people said, he was best dressed. So I'm excited for him to make a return. Also looking forward to seeing Ivan. He's another just very wholesome guy. He's got a great personality. He's funny. He's attractive. He has a good job. He really has everything going for him. I have no complaints about Ivan or Brendan. So again, I'm super excited to see both of their journeys. I'm also very excited to see Jasenia. I think she's someone who's very beautiful. She stood up for herself. She stood up for a lot of the girls in the house. She had her whole drama against MJ, their whole showdown, but I think there's more to her than that, so I'm excited to really get to know her, unpack her personality, because I don't think Matt did that, which, you know, is fine. They weren't a match, they weren't a connection, but I'm excited to see what her personality is like, who she actually is compatible with, and where she will go on her journey. The last person I'm really looking forward to out of this first batch of people is, of course, fan favorite Abigail. As well, there's no complaints that anyone can have about Abigail. She's so sweet, so kind, also a very beautiful girl, just has a very pure heart. And we all know that she kind of got screwed over in Matt's season. He obviously had a connection with her and never took the time to explore it. So hopefully, as we see in this first episode, someone is taking that initiative to not look her over and, you know, not pass her over, give her the love that she deserves. So I'm super excited. I hope that she finds love, finds a perfect person for her. So those are the people that I knew like going in that I previously had liked on other seasons that I would be excited to see. But then the people that kind of like took me by surprise that I already knew that they existed, but seeing them on Paradise just made me see them in a different light that I'm excited to see. That includes Tammy. She really annoyed me on Peter's season. I felt like she was just very unnecessary, very extra a lot of the time. She alluded to that in her introduction by saying that she's known for being the loudest person in the house. So I think maybe she's reflected on that role that she played in Peter's season. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being loud or outspoken or speaking up for yourself and others, but I just think that there's a more tactful way to do it. And I feel like I also didn't agree with a lot of the opinions that she had on Peter's season. So maybe if this season when she's speaking up, if I agree with more of her opinions, then I might appreciate her speaking up more. So we'll just have to see. Additionally, I was excited to see Aaron. He's someone who was kind of just like vaguely annoying on Katie's season, but at the same time, he was really funny because he was just a huge bucket of salt the entire time. So I feel like Paradise is more his speed. He's not really like a romantic type of dude. I don't think that he thrived in the Bachelorette setting, but Paradise is just full of drama. There's so many people to interact, mess with, make alliances with, you know, battle, have enemies with. So I'm just super excited to see more of his character. I'm sure that he'll bring us a lot of laughs, stir the pot a little bit. So I can't wait to see what he's up to. And then the last person that kind of surprised me was Goddess Victoria. Because obviously she was someone else who was very annoying on Matt's season. But I feel like she's one of those people that you can't really be mad at her because she knows she knows who she is. You know what I mean? She's not ashamed of being kind of obnoxious. She knows that's the personality that she presents, and she definitely plays it up. I feel like she's one of those people that it's like, love me or hate me, you're still talking about me. I feel like that's the mindset that she has. She doesn't have an issue with people talking about her, even if it is a negative light, because they're still talking about her. She's still getting that attention that she wants. So honestly, I'm not mad at it. I feel like another reason why it's not as annoying is because people kind of know what to expect from her. And they're not all going after the same guy. So her antics aren't necessarily going to take the attention away from the guys that the other girls will be pursuing. So I feel like she's there. She's going to do her thing. I'll be very interested to see if she does make a connection with anyone. I've seen some people on social media kind of hinting that she and Carl might be a good match. I low-key would be here for that as well because they're both troublemakers. They can sit back and scheme and plot on everyone together. So I wouldn't be mad at that, but we'll just see what's going on with Victoria and Carl. Then we kind of move through, after we get past the like confessional introductions, then we get to the actual like walking down the stairs introductions. One person that stuck out to me was Kelsey, because she said she was from Peter's season and that we would know her from Champagne Gate. I honestly, I didn't remember her. Not gonna lie, I didn't remember that she was from Peter's season. I didn't really remember the Champagne Gate incident, and I felt like it was one of those things because she kept saying like, oh, I want to move on from this. I don't want this to be my identity, this, that, and the third. And I feel like it's one of those things that no one else is bringing it up. Like she's the only one who's mentioning it and making a big deal about it. And by her kind of continuously talking about it, that's what's making it stay in our memories. It's not, no one else is articulating that for her. So I hope she can find some peace with that because Bachelor Nation, we have moved on. So she just needs to catch up to where the rest of us are. Then we get into the island, the actual action and interactions. One of the first conversations that we see is Grocery Store Joe talking to Serena. It's cute, it's lively, they're having fun. They're making each other laugh, but we can tell that Joe he has that like old guy in the club type of vibe. He's very much aware that this is the second time that he's on Paradise, that he's one of the oldest cast members of this season thus far. He doesn't really know who's going to be checking for him. He doesn't really know who he's necessarily checking for. Some of the girls off the gate are making a little, like lighthearted jabs at him. They're kind of saying like, oh, like, why are you dressed like you're going to the gym? Comparing him to Brendan's fit, So it's just, I can understand why he might feel a little awkward, a little off his game. Maybe he says clearly that he hasn't been dating a minute since his breakup with Kendall. I think that he also, wasn't, as he states clearly to Wells, he wasn't prepared for Paradise and just all the memories that were gonna come flooding back. And I think one thing that people don't always like realize or anticipate in a breakup, I feel like when you break up with someone, you're so focused on what went wrong and the bad memories because you're trying to get over that person, right? So you're trying to think about everything that you're not going to miss about that person to help you get over them faster. But what you don't focus on as much, especially in a relationship that might have been good for like 80-90% of the time, is the good memories. And he and Kendall obviously did meet in Paradise. They did have a good time there. They did have a functional relationship. So I don't think that he was also prepared to have those positive memories come flooding back. I don't think he realized how strong the association of the environment is and how much that can play a role into triggering the memories. I think he was just like, oh, like Kendall's not going to be here. I don't have to worry about seeing her, which unclear. We see that in the future previews that that might be something he needs to be worried about. But at this point in time, he's kind of like, well, Kendall's not here. I'm good. I don't have to worry about dealing with her. But that place, the environment can still be triggering for you and can still bring back a lot of positive memories, which can be just as hard or difficult to process as the negative ones. So Joe, he takes some time for himself. He kind of, as well as puts it, lays around like a beached whale all day, which is pretty accurate. So we'll check back in on Joe later. The next thing that we learn is we kind of get a breakdown of how Paradise works. You know, we always have the uneven numbers of men and women. We switch off of who has roses each week. This first starting week, the men have roses, with 10 men being available and having roses to give, and 13 women being available to receive roses. So off the bat, the women know that they kind of have to find someone, secure that rose in if they want to stay for another week. So that kind of puts the pressure on immediately. And then we see Noah come in. A little side note, tangent, I didn't know that he was a nurse. I think that's pretty cool. We don't really get to know a lot about people's like backgrounds and who they are in their actual lives. So that was honestly just a fun fact for me. But he rolls up, he says that he has his sights set on Abigail. We love a straightforward guy. That's who he wants to talk to. That is where he makes his move. Abigail's open to it. She's receptive to it. And then it turns out that she gets the first date card and picks him. They go to a little piñata room. Yeah, I don't really know. I didn't know what to do with that set. But they go to their little piñata room. They start the date off. They have a little bit of an awkward conversation because Abigail is just talking about how much she, as she puts it, likes to keep guys in the friend zone. I think that, you know, she likes to know who she's getting into something with. She doesn't like to commit to someone until she knows them inside and out, which I can respect. I'm kind of the same way, so I get it. But Noah reads it as a little bit standoffish and guarded, and he's kind of saying, it comes across as though he's saying that he moves super fast, but what I think, or how I interpreted it, was that he was just saying that in Paradise, relationships move more quickly than they do in the outside world, because all there is to do is sit down and get to know someone. You don't have all those other distractions that make the process of getting to know someone slower in the real life. You know, you don't have a job to go to. You don't have other responsibilities to take your attention away from whoever you're dating and make it so that the time that you're spending together is more spread out across a longer period of time. Here, you wake up, you eat breakfast with a person, you sit on the beach, you eat lunch, sit on the beach, like you just, all day you're spending with that person. There's nothing to do but talk, which has its pros and cons, right? Because then you get to know their personality really quickly. You get to see how they are in group settings really quickly. But you don't get those real life experiences of how they operate maybe under stress, or how they react after they've had a long day at work. So I can see both. I can see Noah's points and why he might see that as a positive, but then I can also see Abigail's perspective and why she might want to have a different scenario to get to know someone in, so that she knows for sure when she does commit to them that she knows exactly who that person is and how they operate in all these different facets. Noah as well, he is super complimentary of Abigail. He goes into this long spiel about what a great person she is, and that he knows there's more to her than just like the cute, shy, quiet girl. I like that he called that out, because although Bachelor Nation loves her, I think that's a huge part of why we love her, because she's just so like, oh, like, look at Abigail, she's so adorable, you know, like, she kind of has that vibe around her, and obviously there's more to her than that. So I like that Noah is picking up on that, picking up on that's not all that she wants to be known for, but at the same time is highlighting the good aspects of her personality and why Bachelor Nation does love her so much. And then Abigail responded by saying, wow, can't top that. And she just did it. I love how she just did not even try to be like, oh, you know, I saw you on your season. This is what I thought of you. She's just like, thank you. Like, there was no reciprocation, which is fine. You know, if she doesn't have anything to say, she doesn't have anything to say. But I just thought that was funny. And then they share a kiss together. We see a whole montage of all the couples on the island saying that they had the first kiss in paradise. So some of the kisses that we saw were Tammy and Aaron. We see Kenny and Mari, Ivan and Jasenia, Brendan and Natasha. We don't necessarily see them kiss, but we see them hitting it off at the waves. I wish that we had more backgrounds on Ivan and Jasenia because, as I mentioned, I love Ivan. I want to know what this man is up to, so I would like a little bit more context about how his relationship is forming with Jasenia. Nothing against Jasenia, obviously, because I said that I liked her too. So I'm rooting for both of them. But, you know, I just don't want Ivan to be in a little secret relationship. I want to know what's going on, how he's clicking, what's going on for him. We also see a kiss from Connor and Maurissa back on the beach. They're sitting in one of the day beds. They look super comfortable with each other already. They're hugged up, cuddled up. I feel fine, neutral about it. Honestly, I didn't remember who Maurissa was. I had to go look up what season she was on. Turns out she's on Peter's season, if anyone out there also didn't remember. So I don't have any feelings about her and Connor. I don't really know what her personality is like to know if she and Connor will be compatible. So I feel like I will be getting to know her alongside of Connor. We also move into Tahzjuan and Tre. And one of the big elephants in the room is that she went on a date with his uncle. He, at first, is a little bit, like, rattled. But then he kind of gets over it. He decides that he's unfazed. It doesn't bother him. He's open to pursuing her. And that honestly made me, like, super duper excited because we don't see a lot of just like black couples coming out of Bachelor Nation. I don't think, first of all, a lot of black people go onto this show, so that makes it harder for them to find each other if they're not in that environment in the first place. But we just don't see a lot of black couples. It always makes me happy when I see that. And on top of that, she's dark-skinned. We don't see a lot of, just in the media and in society in general, we don't see a lot of dark-skinned black women getting the love and appreciation that they deserve. And especially because Tre picked her first, right? Like, it wasn't like she was a last choice. He went through all these other women and he was just like, all right, well, you're here. I'll just go with you. Like, no, like, Tre saw her coming down the stairs and he was like, there's her right there. I'm gonna go get her. Let me go roll up, make an impression. Like, she was his first pick. And that is something that is rarely shown on TV, and it just made my heart so happy to see that she was a first option. I really am very excited about their budding relationship. I hope that they will continue to get to know each other. I hope they make it. They are one of those couples that honestly is boring, right? Kind of like a Jade and Tanner. Like, I hope they just kind of sit down and do whatever. Like, we don't really have to check in on them because we know they're good. That's really what I hope for them. Another dynamic that stuck out to me from this first premiere episode is that we honestly saw a lot of white men going for black women, right? Like, we had Brendan going for Natasha. We had Joe going for Serena. We also had Connor going for Maurissa. So that's already 3 couples right there of white men going for black women. And that also makes my heart very happy because black women, obviously, we don't get the love that we deserve, especially from white men. And to me, what it represents to me is a white man going for a black woman. Number one, black women are seen, and there have been studies that prove this, that people subconsciously, involuntarily, or maybe it's conscious, I don't really know, black women are seen as the most undesirable, unattractive race of women out of every demographic that there is. And obviously, America, Europe, a lot of the Western world operates on European beauty standards. Black women obviously don't fit into that, and white men do. So white men are perceived as one of the most attractive demographics. So for a white man to go for a black woman who is at the totally opposite end of the spectrum, that shows to me that these men are open-minded. They're serious about finding love. They're not just looking for someone who can elevate their status, that other people will think that looks good on their arm. Like, they're genuinely looking for someone who has a good heart. And that's not me saying that these women aren't beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Let me be very clear. I think they're all very beautiful. And I see that. But I don't think that society, the media, always allows for that to be shown and allows for people to potentially look past their biases to also see that. Another thing, taking it one step further, Black women getting into like the actual logistics of if these men were to, go beyond paradise and form a marriage and a family and a full-fledged relationship with these women, they're doing that with the knowledge or potentially without the knowledge, but still with the implications that they have far more access to socioeconomic power than Black women. For example, there's such a thing called a Black Women Equal Pay Day every year that marks the day on the calendar that it takes for Black women's average earnings to catch up to white men from the previous year. So this past year, it was on August 3rd. So what that means is for Black women to make all the money the white men did last year, it took us that much longer. It took us until August 3rd for us to make the amount of money that white men did like 365 days ago. So that's just one microcosm of how Black women don't have access to socioeconomic respect, capital in this society and in this world. So for a white man to enter into a serious, potentially, we don't know where these relationships are going to go, but if these relationships turn out to be serious, they're doing that at the expense of what they otherwise would have access to in their dating pool, right? Because obviously we would assume that these white men are also attracted to white women, maybe have dated white women. So that is something that is available to them, but they're going beyond just what is good for their optics and what is good for them socioeconomically, what is good for their status, what society says is appropriate for them. They're going beyond that and just following their heart, which is so beautiful to me. One person that really stuck out to me from this was Brendan, because the other guys who are in this situation who are potentially pursuing Black women, we did not see them on seasons where the lead was Black, except for Brendan, obviously, because he was on Tayshia's season. And what this says to me, that he's still going after a Black woman, intentionally pursuing Natasha, is that he wasn't just doing that because the lead was Black, because Tahzjuan was there available to him. And that's not me saying that I thought he was just doing it for that reason or that I thought he was fake, because I didn't. I always thought Brendan was someone who was very genuine. I thought that his feelings for Tahzjuan were real. So don't get me wrong with that. But what this says to me is that he's taking it a step further and that this is a dating pattern that he's comfortable with. This is something that he does. Like, he's just about that life. He's about being open-minded and being non-discriminatory in his dating practices, and that's something that's very nice and heartwarming for me to see. And that's not to say that the other guys in this situation, that Joe and Connor, haven't also dated Black women. They could have. I just don't have any evidence to support that prior to this episode. So all in all, I'm very excited to see where these relationships will go. Speaking of Joe and Serena, we got to get into that. I really enjoyed seeing their chemistry, their conversation in the last little bit of the episode. I really liked that Serena just sat down and she just started reading this man. She was calling him out on his insecurities, what was going on in his head, but she did it in a way that allowed him to laugh at himself and allowed him to say, hey, you know what? Things aren't as bad as they thought they were. Let me take a deep breath. Let me just relax. She got him to kind of get out of his own head and calm down for a little bit. And that's something that you want in a partner. You want someone that can be there with you in that moment and say, hey, I know what you're feeling is very real, but relax. Like, you want someone that helps you not take yourself so seriously. So I'm super excited to see where their connection will go. I think they hit it off really well. I'm also interested to see if this is where Serena kind of puts her eggs, like if she puts her eggs in Joe's basket. because as we've seen, a lot of guys are kind of feeling Serena and kind of interested in getting to know her when they first came on the beach. So I would like to see if she's going to explore other options, or if she's kind of locked in on Joe, going to pursue that. We also see in the previews that Kendall does make an appearance, and Serena's in there crying. So I don't really know where this will go. I have high hopes, but I'm not going to get invested. It's week 1, day 1, so I'm just pumping my brakes a little bit and just go along for the ride, see what happens with them. We end the episode with Demi rolling up. She's ready to stir up some drama and some trouble. I've seen mixed opinions about Demi on social media. Some people were like, yes, Demi, and other people are like, I'm so tired of her, I'm over her, da-da-da-da. I don't mind Demi. I feel like she's someone who's like Victoria, that she knows what's going on with her. She knows that people love to hate her, and she plays that up. So I'm not mad at it. Like, get your coins, get your fame. Like, I think she's funny. I do think that she brings a fun amount of spice and drama. So I'm here for it. And I'm honestly also rooting for her love story and her journey. I hope that she does find someone. I'm just really excited to follow Demi, see where things are gonna go for her, and see what's going on for the rest of the season. So thank you so much for tuning in. That's pretty much all I had for this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. Who are you excited to see at Paradise? What do you think of the new relationships forming? Do you think that they will last? Or based on the previews, do we think that someone else will come in and get in the way of a lot of the relationships? Let me know. And I'll see you back here next week for another episode of Brianna's Bachelor Breakdown.